We took questions that you sent us and put them together to ask students. I've asked these students to sit on this panel. I have not asked them to say anything specific, so I think you've met with a lot of our students already. They are telling you their authentic truth and their experience. So what I want to do is start off with them introducing themselves, where they call home, and what year you are.
Hi. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's on. Hi, everyone. My name is Nadia Kranting. I'm an M1, she, her, my pronouns. I'm originally from Ghana. So I born and raised in Ghana for about 18 years. Moved to Winona, Minnesota. So born in a big city. Moved to small town Winona at 18. And I've lived in Minnesota for 15 years. So Minnesota is home now. Moved here for school. Is that it?
Yeah. Okay. Love it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Selena Chua. I'm an M1. I go by she, hers. I'm originally born in Malaysia, but I moved to SoCal, specifically the LA County area. Anyone from here? Woo! I met a couple of you guys. Moved to LA when I was 4, and then I moved to Massachusetts for college, and then I lived in New York for my gap years, and now I'm in the Midwest. So if you guys have any questions about traversing the United States, let me know.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cyrus. I'm an 4th year MSTP, which means I'm actually going to be graduating with you guys in 4 years. Your classmates right now. I go by he, him, his. I grew up in North Carolina and Virginia for 7 years each, and then 12, 13 years ago, I moved 20 minutes away from here in Northville, and I've been in this area ever since. Did my undergrad here too.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben. Providence, Rhode Island is my home. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an M3. I have lived in Ithaca, New York, Rochester, New York, Seattle, San Diego, and LA County. Now Michigan.
Sick. My name is Michael. I use he, him pronouns. I'm also an M3. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and then I went to college in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and then I came straight here for med school. So I lived in 3 places, not as many as our friend Ben, but still a good number.
My name is Mary Elmore. I use she, her pronouns. I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama, but I am also following the trend of having lived a bunch of different places. I went to high school in New Hampshire, undergrad in Tennessee. I lived in Atlanta for a little while. Yeah, with Lily. I went to undergrad in Tennessee, lived in Atlanta, lived in DC, and then moved here. So yes, anchor down. Vanderbilt people in here. Yep, thank you. Yeah.
Love it.
And I'm an M2. Mm-hmm.
So I think I would start off, Selena, would you share with me what was the transition to medical school like? And this far into med school as an M1, what resources have been helpful for you?
Okay, so before medical school, I was actually a life sciences consultant. So transition to medical school, I was really, really nervous about getting back into the classroom. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that way, but all I can say that is it's actually going to be fine, guys. I feel okay now. The transition was definitely, I think, the first block coming in. I was very nervous in terms of the workload. And to be quite honest, there's going to be a learning curve, regardless of where you go, regardless of which program you go to. But I think it's better to just embrace it and go in with the expectation that, there is going to be a lot of work that you may need to put in the beginning, but it'll all level out once you get used to it. And in terms of resources, I think, and this is just my personal philosophy, the best resources are always going to be other people. So reach out to any of your friends that have gone through medical school, any upperclassmen, and even the people that you've met today. Everyone's always willing to give you a hand and share their best advice. It's nice to kind of go through things and take the same steps that, successful upperclassmen have done. So I think that's pretty much the advice that I would give to you guys, especially as you're starting your medical journey. Do you have anything else to add as an M1?
I think you said most of it. Definitely rely on the resources here, your peers. I think we ask each other all the time, how are you studying for this block or how are you studying for this exam? And people have different ways. You will find your way. I think I did different things for every block. I think in block 3 was when I started being like more consistent with what I was doing. But like block 1 was different. Block 2 was different. And the upperclassmen really have like really nice notes. Like you don't have to do the work. People have already done the work for you. Like like Mary Elmo, she has like great like Anki cards. Like you don't have to do it unless you have the time, and maybe that's the way you learn. But if you're okay using other people's resources, the resources are there. Like we have, I think from 2025 and onwards, like they have all their stuff on the shared wiki. So utilize it. Yeah.
I think that's a really unique thing to hear. And, our philosophy, we don't talk about other schools, we'll talk about our school. It was shocking to me when I realized that you all share everything. And it took me a long time to understand that. And so I'd love to pass the mic down. I know you're known for sharing a lot of your resources. Why do you do that? And why do you do that? That came out sounding wrong.
So I actually built on decks that people had used before. So I didn't 100% reinvent the wheel with the Anki decks that a lot of the M1s use now. I actually built on, thank you guys, thank you. I actually built on like 3 other people who had made them in years past and tailored them and kind of added in more slides and added in more information. So I picked up work that other people had left off, and it was just really helpful to keep going. And hopefully somebody's been editing them this year and you can pass them on to the next group too. So it's not them, but someone's been doing it. And I think it's really helpful. The environment here is really collaborative, both in M1 year and also in M2 year. I'm in the clinical space now, and it's the same way. We all share everything, and I think we all benefit from it, honestly, and that's why we all do it.
When you hand it down to these folks, would you folks speak to, because you've moved into the clinical spaces and then into the branch spaces, would you speak to this one-year curriculum? I've fielded a lot of questions. As Dean Ty said earlier, we didn't take 2 years and shove it into one. It's a really intentionally built curriculum. I would love to hear from you folks what it felt like and what it felt like then moving into the clinical space.
I'll talk about my experience now. I was talking to Ben about this right before we started this session. I'm on an elective right now on something that I thought I've always wanted to do, and I still kind of want to do it, but it's like every day I kind of have an identity crisis. And I'm happy to have had a shortened preclinical curriculum because it gives me so much clinical experience and time and rotations that I would have otherwise never been able to do if I went to another medical school maybe. And now if I want to pivot, I have the time and freedom to do that. I'm really thankful for that, but it was not something I considered as an M1. And M2 year, I didn't feel ready to enter the clinical space, but again, I don't think you ever will feel ready. But there's a lot of support in terms of your fellow classmates, the residents on your teams, the attendings, and the other M2s that are going through it with you. They don't make you feel like you're alone. And you're more ready than you think you are based from how you studied for M1 year and just your personalities as well.
Michael, will you tell us what rotation you're on right now?
Yes, so I'm on a neurosurgery exploratory. So we have these things called exploratories, which are 2 or 4 week experiences in certain rotations. So maybe you want to do ophthalmology. You could do a 2-week exploratory in ophthalmology. Maybe you want to do neurosurgery. You could do a 4-week exploratory in neurosurgery. So that's what I'm on, and that's why I'm dressed in like pajamas and my hair's messed up because I just stepped out of an operation. I'm going to go back after this.
Okay, I'm going to piggyback off of Mike, but really quick, my impression of M1 year, and I think that you'll hear this across the board, is that it is manageable. It is manageable, and that you have a fair amount of free time given the way that it's set up. And you can, you take flex quizzing, and you can do that on your Friday, have the whole weekend to yourself. And this is where a lot of people go and try new things, get involved with clubs, shadow. So yeah, I think M1 year, if I had one word for it, it would be manageable. Transition to M2 year, during your M1 year, you get put in a doctoring group and you get assigned 2 doctoring faculty. One's your coach. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. One's your coach, one is your assessor. And you really develop a good relationship with them, but they start, They put the training wheels on you. You do some mock simulations. You see, simulated patients, and you build a framework so you're not going into the clinical space blind. And you know a little bit, enough to, fit in right away and have your feet under you. And they build a good, stable foundation before sending you in. You feel prepared. And then my thoughts on the curriculum as a whole, I think you can all kind of empathize with this being second look students. I was a no look student. I was a linkage student, so I'd never been to Ann Arbor, but I'm in a similar place to you, and Mike is too, where we are facing the decision of picking a specialty. And I love this curriculum for that. If anything else, it affords us so much more time downstream to explore, to do some soul searching, to reflect, and to make that big decision, because you guys are faced with this decision of going to medical school. The next one you're going to face is, what kind of physician do I want to be? And I think this curriculum is designed in such a way that it really gives us all the time we need to answer that question.
Yeah, I think one thing that I think of, and I've talked to friends, both in here and other places, that M2 years, or clinical year, is very scary. It's really exciting. It's really exciting because now you're all of a sudden in the wards helping people and really doing what you came to med school to do. But it's also a lot of all the responsibility you now have, and you're actually seeing real patients. And I don't think, whether it be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't think any amount of preclinical didactic lectures will get you fully at that point where you can step in there and be like, this is easy. It's never going to be easy, but we do get prepared very well, where you're able to easily enough transition into that space. And so I think the 1 year preclinical is really nice because you learn the stuff you need to learn to have a foundation. Then the important stuff you learn on the wards. There's no substitute for that, whether it be 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. So I think getting into the wards early is really, really nice because that's when you start to put into context all of the kind of random facts you learned about risk factors and pathophysiology. Now all of a sudden you can put a face and a name of a patient you have to that disease, and all of a sudden you care a lot more about what treatments there are, and you start looking through the literature and be like, oh wait, there's actually new stuff we didn't learn about in class because it's fresh off the press, and all of a sudden it really, really changes stuff. And so I think the 1 year preclinical, if for the million of other reasons that were mentioned, it's also really nice because it gets you in to do your real learning faster.
So you mentioned manageable, M1, and you mentioned free time. I have a question. Tell me what free time looked like for you. You all heard about our flexible quiz schedule. So this is like a 3-layer question. Number 1, who's a Friday quizzer when they were in M1? Whoa, who's a Saturday quizzer?
Oh, I'm a Friday. We were talking. Sorry. Friday 4 p.m.
Do you have a lot of friends that are Saturday quizzers?
Aren't those statistics even?
It's fun for them to hear.
Well, I'm usually a Saturday. Lately, we've been on a Friday kick for neuro, but yeah.
Let's go. I must switch around.
Yeah,
I have friends across the gamut. I will say a lot of us love taking it on Friday and getting it over with so we can have a weekend. And that's definitely one of the biggest appeals of flex quizzing, guys. Take advantage of it. But I also have friends, a lot of them who are Saturday and some that are last minute, I'm going to download it as close to the deadline as possible on Sunday, quizzers. It's really what works for you. And I'm going to kind of talk about the free time and also what the 1 year preclinical can afford you guys. I think going into medical school, one of the things that I was prioritizing was okay, I want to make sure that I can set myself up for success down the line. And this was what you guys are speaking to. I wanted to make sure that in the case that I end up doing a specialty that I didn't even think that I was going to go into, I would be able to set myself up correctly. So please use that time. And we're not lying when we say you do have free time. So use it to do the hobbies that you're currently doing now, and to keep the identity that you have aside from being a medical student, because that's what you guys, were able to show during your interviews, and that's very important.
Yeah, no, I'm a Sunday quizzer, which I'm always jealous of the Friday quizzes, and I wish I was more of a Friday quizzer. I've done it a couple of times. I've done it on Friday. It's been the best. However, I'm such a slow, I go through the lectures really slowly because I take a lot of notes. For me, I prioritize just understanding things right away because it helps me when I'm taking a quiz. If I understand the thing, no matter the question you throw at me, I will figure it out. So I'm normally a Sunday quizzer, but if you guys can be a Friday quizzer, because Friday quizzing is amazing, but I just have not done it as much as I would like to do it. So yeah, no, but I think it is just having the flexibility is really great. So block 5, I've actually used 2 of our 3 deferrals because I've had things come up.
What's a deferral?
So a deferral is you get to take your standard quiz. So we get 2 chances to do a quiz. There's a standard quiz, which everybody has to take. And then there's a second chance quiz, but that one is optional. So the standard quiz gets deferred from having to do it by Sunday at 10 p.m. to you can, it opens up for you Monday from, I think, 10 till Tuesday Monday noon till Tuesday 10 p.m. But with that, if you're not sure what you're going to get, you have to also kind of do the second chance quiz because you might be okay, I don't know if I'm going to do well on this quiz. So it's been kind of sad because I've had to do 2 quizzes, twice this block, which is a lot. So, but yeah, no, having that is really nice because, life happens, things happen. Maybe you might have an emergency or you might have a wedding coming up and you're I want to enjoy myself. So you can ask for the deferral, but you don't have to use it. And if you don't use it, it's not counted against you. So that's really nice.
So we heard about travel. How about we hand the mic, working our way down? Cyrus, tell us if you're willing to share within the school things you enjoy doing, orgs, and what about maybe hidden gems outside of the school, maybe Ann Arbor, Ypsi, Detroit, Southeast Michigan?
Yeah, so everyone talks about free time. I don't have free time, and that's because I have signed up for way too many extracurricular organizations. So, and there's stuff that I really, really enjoy doing. Yeah, Yusuf's nodding at me.
He gets it.
So, this year was one of the directors of The Smoker, which is our annual medical school musical parody roast. Dean Berman was featured as one of our roastees last year. Nemo show. So that takes a lot of my time. It's a really fun experience where about 100 medical students write, produce, arrange, play the music do everything for a full $30,000 budget show that has this year over 1,000 people showed up over 2 nights too. About a third of which are actually faculty and attendings who like seeing themselves be roasted. That's not an exaggeration. So that's something I put a lot of time in. It's really fun because you get to see people from all different classes. It's now that I'm in my PhD phase, how I get to know a lot of the amazing M1s who I otherwise don't have a chance to interact with. I'm involved in Tag Days. I'm one of the junior directors for that, which is our annual fundraiser where we dress up in onesies, go out into the streets of Ann Arbor, raise this year $100,000 in a weekend for children's foundations across the county. Yeah, Tag Days. It's best for the kids. I'm involved in Galen's, which is the organization that runs these. I choreograph for our biannual dance show, Birhythms. I'm involved in the Michigan Journal of Medicine as one of the executive directors. I play soccer outside. We have a soccer team, both of the med school, but we have a bunch of other soccer groups that pop up, and that's a whole lot of fun. That's where I spent probably the most of my fun time, outside of the med school orgs. I used to play a lot of soccer with everyone. We have a 100-something person group chat where people just get up and play soccer with each other. There's a lot of tubing that goes on, especially now down the Huron River. People get in tubes and kayaks and go have a great time. Now the weather's nice. There's a lot of extracurriculars that are available, and a lot of them are, very academic oriented or professional organizations, which are great. I like to spend my free time doing stuff that doesn't help my resume, and just, stuff that I really like the sense of community here at Michigan. And I think these orgs that I'm involved in is really one of the things that brought me here, is because I really, really liked how involved everyone was in having a good time and building that sense of community and openness that Michigan has. And so, yeah, I've spent too much of my time getting involved in the non-academic stuff.
Ben?
I think you about covered everything. So I will speak to my out of Michigan medicine experience because I'm all about having balance in medical school. For those of you who are coming from a big city, the first time I arrived here was with all my stuff to move into my apartment. And my first impression was, oh no, this place is too small. And I, wasn't delusioned into thinking that this is a big city, but I was like, this is not Seattle, this is not San Diego, this is not LA. And what I've come to find is that there is a lot more to this place than meets the eye, and that there is so much here. There's stuff not only in Ann Arbor that I didn't see at first glance, but there's so much outside of Ann Arbor. Detroit is just a stone's throw away, and it's fun, and the people there are fun, and it's got everything you need, or that I need. I just encourage all of you who are coming from a bigger place and maybe having that thought to just know that you're not alone in maybe having that, and that there's more here than you might think, and there's great stuff here.
I totally agree. Very well said, Ben. This is also a quick thing about the one-year curriculum. Something I didn't consider was how important it was to finish our clinical rotation by the end of M2 year. A lot of you are considering dual degrees, and I think having your clinical trunk behind you when pursuing another degree in an unrelated field brings a lot of useful information that you otherwise wouldn't have. And I'm only seeing the importance of that now. But in terms of what I like doing here, my favorite involvement at the school is something called the Asylum Collaborative. And we do forensic medical evaluations for asylum seekers, and you could get involved with the Physicians for Human Rights at the national level through the Student Advisory Board, which I also do and I love. But otherwise, my friends and I participate in a lot of intramural sports. We're part of a larger institution that has intramural sports both at the undergrad and grad school level. So we play flag football, we play basketball, we played softball actually in Ypsilanti, and Dean Berman came to a couple of games. We didn't do too well, but it's not because of you. You actually had,
Okay.
But I also love my class, and I think they make my time here a really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I won't echo the specifics of what everyone said, but I agree with all of it. One thing that I will add that I like to do, I spend a lot of my time doing things related to student council here. And I say that because I think it's really important to emphasize how involved and how receptive to feedback our leadership is at the school. I got the chance to go to an AAMC conference in DC last summer with other M1 student council leaders from medical schools all across the country. And it was such a wonderful addition to my perspective to understand that our experience here is extremely unique in how much the admin listens to us, meets with us, cares about what we're concerned about, and makes changes. It's very unique and very special here. They invest a lot of time in our feedback and the changes that we want to make. And I care a lot about that and have spent a lot of time working with them. And I want you guys to know from the experience that I've had here and from what I learned from other student council leaders at that conference, it's very, very special and a great way to get involved in the school.
Well, that was my next question. Do you feel like your voice is heard by the administration when you voice concern? It was a question one of you had for us. Is anybody else interested in building on that relative to your voice being heard or struggling with that?
Yes. So our class, I think, dealt with some big things right away. Starting with our white coat ceremony, we've had a number of other, really big, unfortunate events come up that the school needed to address. And immediately, I was just so impressed with how they handled it. We had the dean sitting up here, having an honest conversation with us, telling us, this is what we can do. What are your concerns? Let's work together. We're all trying to figure this out. And it was so collaborative, and I thought it was so great. And it was real. It was authentic. The caring was there. And from my seat, it was just the best way to start things off, to be like, okay, this place genuinely cares about you and will take you seriously and will listen.
remember last year I was out at like Grizzly Peak having dinner with a friend, and I saw Dean Berman walk by, and we had like a 15-minute conversation, like randomly in the middle of downtown. And I think that just goes for like all of the deans and all of the administration. They're super welcoming and fun and open, and like always willing to like chat with you, whether it's about like med school or just anything and everything. And I think that really helps to really like feel like you're not just a random student and like a mob of everyone. They get to know you, and then they're always there for you for any concerns or questions you might have about anything.
I think people are always willing to share. Like, even if they don't have the answer for you, they will find you someone who has the answer. Because I just experienced this like 30 minutes ago. I was just talking with Paris about not wanting to do surgery because I'm like older, and I'm like, I don't want to spend my life, doing this. And he's like, well, speak to this person. I'm going to give you the information. They might be able to help you make a decision. I'm like, okay, maybe I might, depending on how the conversation goes. But I feel like people here genuinely care about you and want to share their own experience to help you make the best decision for you.
So I want to bookend. We've talked a lot about while you're here. I'd love to talk about before you came. And then I know we don't have any M4s. They're all on holiday before they graduate. So I asked some to join. And then when they're matching and heading out, one of my questions was, I look at you all. I know you all had really interesting lives prior to arriving here. If you would share a thing or two that you did, and then there were so many things offered pre-matriculation, lead, camp, culinary connections, nothing. Will you, for real, will you share maybe a little bit about what you did before you came to med school, both our programming or not, and then your job or life? It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, no, so like I said, I'm a little older. I took a 10-year gap year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do that calculation for yourself. So I got a master's in public health. First, it was supposed to be a 1-year gap year. Actually, I did apply, but I only applied to like 4 schools. Didn't get in, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go do a master's in public health, because that was around the time that Ebola had appeared, and I was like, you know what, this is interesting. Let me go get a master's in public health. So I got a master's in public health, environmental health, infectious diseases, and I worked at the Minnesota Department of Health for a while. Then later on, I was like, you know what, maybe I might just go to pharmacy school. It's not as, long as med school. I can be out and make some money. So I went and worked in a pharmacy for a while. I worked as a pharmacy technician. I did that for about 4 years. Then I had a church member who, so like I mentioned, I'm Ghanaian. She didn't speak any English, and she had to do appointments by herself, and her daughter had asked if I would just help her out as a PCA. So I started to do that and go in a clinic with her, and I was like, maybe I should go back and do this, because there is a need, and, I value very culturally competent care. So that's what made me decide to come back and, apply to medical school. And I think it's all the things that I did was what made me attractive to Michigan. Because if I hadn't done that, I think whilst I was doing it, it didn't seem like it made sense. It just seemed like wasted experience at that time. I was like, I'm not doing much with my life right now. But I think that everything came full circle. What was the other question?
What did you do before?
Okay.
Did you do camp already?
Oh, no. So I didn't do anything. So I went back home the February before we started. I went home for about a month. I went to Ghana for about a month. And my sister was having a baby right around when lead and stuff was happening. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend that time with my family. So I didn't do anything, but it was still cool.
Her story's cooler than mine. I was just a life sciences consultant in New York. And I feel like the common question I get is what even is consulting? I don't even know what to say. I guess I did a couple of I built out a couple models. Our clients are pharmas, biotechs, the whole gamut of things. But I think the coolest thing from this experience was I was able to learn so much about so many different therapeutic areas. I went into consulting thinking that I didn't really like oncology, so I was like, please don't give me any oncology projects. But all they gave me were oncology projects. But it ended up being kind of like my bread and butter thing. I was able to learn so much about like the therapeutic innovations that was going on in oncology. So I think I'm pretty interested in oncology right now, but we'll see. It also gave me so many life skills apart from like learning a lot about the different sciences and like the mechanisms, pathophys and whatnot. But it allowed me to like not be afraid to ask questions, but also learn how to like speak to kind of like my superiors in a professional way, quote unquote. So I'm very grateful for the 2 years that I spent in New York. I also got to spend a lot of time like hanging out with friends and like really enjoying things that I don't think you're able to do when you're kind of grinding for the next goal that you have as like a pre-med. Like I'm sure that after you guys got into med school, you guys were thinking, okay, what's next? I implore you guys to just like take a moment, celebrate your accomplishments, and travel if you have the luxury to, but also just like spend time with your loved ones. This is going to be like, you probably won't have as much time like after M1 if you come here. So spend time with your loved ones. I was able to travel and also spend time with my family, which was really nice. And then before starting medical school here, I did not do camp. I don't really like the outdoors. It really scared me. I saw a picture where they were like, I was just like, I need my bed. So that's why I ended up not doing camp, but respect to everyone who did. I did culinary connections, and I was able to meet a couple people. I met Mahesh, love him. He's like one of my closest friends now. So you're able to make connections really early on. Even if you don't go to camp, no judgment here. You'll still be able to meet people in Ann Arbor while everyone else is like sweating and getting mosquito bites on their face before white coat. Each their own.
So for those of you guys who, like me, do not have very cool, backstories, I did undergrad, I did a master's, and then I matriculated. So I did not have any really cool experiences. But in the, few weeks before med school, I did do camp, and camp was actually wonderful. While getting bit by mosquitoes, it was a great bonding experience. So I tell people, what better way to get to know people than being in the woods for a week and getting, harassed by mosquitoes in your own sweat. It's great. But so I had never done any camping at all before, and I decided to do camp because it seemed like a really good way to get to meet some of my classmates and like build good friendships that way, and I loved it. And then ever since, I've also been a camp leader, and it's like a really fun time. So I highly recommend camp. It's just a great way to get to know people.
Nadia, we have similar stories. We do. You got me beat though on the gap years. I took 8 gap years.
Years.
I will start by saying when I graduated from undergrad in 2014, I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I had taken a career aptitude test at college, and it said, you would like to be an occupational therapist. I'm like, okay, what's that? And my mom's like, you should meet my friend Barb. She does occupational therapy at this local psych hospital. And I'm like, okay. And I meet Barb, sweet lady, and she tells me all about occupational therapy for 45 minutes, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm so sorry. And she could see it in my eyes, and she knew I was covered in student loans, needed a job, and she's like, all right, you need a job. The intensive treatment unit here, they could use another tech, I think. Why don't you go apply for that? I'm like, all right, knowing nothing about it, knowing nothing about patient care, I get a job, and I fell in love with it right away. It was authentic. I'm like, I belong in healthcare. I love working with patients. And I spent 2 years working at that psych hospital, inpatient and outpatient as a substance use disorder counselor. And I said to myself, okay, similar to you, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't know what doctors do. It seems like I don't have the endurance for medical school or the academic chops for it. But so I did nursing school. I did a 1-year nursing program. And I got pulled away from psychiatry and towards medicine and to critical care. And I worked as an ICU nurse for about 3.5 years before discovering that I actually do want to go to medical school. and I did a post-bac and came here, and that's my story.
I think you do a great job of putting together classes, or at least our class, because like I didn't know all that about Ben, and friends, like we talk a lot, and I hope like yeah, I guess listen. But all this is to say is like talk to the people here. You're gonna meet some really good people, and hopefully they're your classmates. But if not, you have hopefully lifelong connections. I also say that because I don't have much to say about my past life. I went straight through from college. I went to a small school named Muhlenberg College. I played football there. I majored in biochemistry and Russian studies, and then I came here. And at first, yeah, Russian was kind of random. And my high school made me take it. My family's from Syria, and learning about Russian history I thought was intertwined with learning about my family's past as well. So that's why I did it. And now I want to apply to. I applied to master's programs in like a random field, but it turns out that my Russian studies degree made me eligible to apply to these programs. So like things work out if you pursue your passions no matter what.
Really cool. So after undergrad, I moved to Washington, D.C. and worked at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland for 2 years. So I did the NIH post-bac fellowship in Bethesda. And I'm sure some of you are doing that now. I know that's a common thing for people to do before they go to medical school. I loved it. It started out as probably the hardest experience in my life and became the best. So if any of you are there and have worked with Sharon Milgram, that woman changed my life. So if you see her, please tell her that. I've told her many times, but it's still true. I'm so grateful for the experience that I had there, and I'm a much bigger person than I was when I started. I also did lead when I started medical school, which I loved. Highly, highly encourage you to do all the other wonderful things. Get bit by mosquitoes, cook, all those things. They're all cool. Or meet a new baby, also very cool. Lots of great things you can do before medical school, but I did lead and I loved it. I'd highly recommend it. I met a lot of wonderful friends. It helped me come to a place that I was completely unfamiliar with. I was totally unfamiliar with Ann Arbor when I moved here, and it helped me get to know the area and the faculty and the really special community that we have here. So there are plenty of ways to do that. LEAD is one of them, and I encourage you to apply.
And I've been asked this a bunch. LEAD is continuing, no different, and applications will come out down the road. So just so you know. On a low budget, your favorite place to eat here?
Oh, Frida's, hands down. Low budget though. I guess Frida's just because I don't get out a lot, so that's where I go.
Well, okay, not like Ann Arbor. No, I'm not. No judgment on this. Not like Taco Bell. So like an Ann Arbor place. That wasn't a judgment on Taco Bell.
Right.
Just maybe an Ann Arbor local place. Yeah. Frida's.
Yeah, Frida's is really where
Everybody
I go
loves
to.
Taco Bell.
I tried out. This is also not low budget, but my partner and I tried out Carlisle's, I think it's called. It was really great food, but it's on the expensive side. But yeah, I don't eat out much. So when I eat out, I want to eat out nicely, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like even if you haven't tried it, you'll frequent Frida's more often than not. But my favorite place is Palace Tang. And if you haven't heard about it, it's I love hot pot and I love Asian food, and Palace Tang has been my sanctuary here in Ann Arbor. If you go with a big group, I think you'll pay like around $20 per person. They have this 1 meter fat cow. It's called that. It's like 1 meter of like fatty beef that you like cook. Best deal ever. It's 1 meter for less than $10. It's $9.99. And if you have a big group, you diffuse it. But if you like hot pot, it's like pretty, I think it honestly is like as good as Heidi Lau if you're a hot pot fan. Even if you're not a hot pot fan and you want to try it out, please hit me up. I always need an excuse to go. I love the spicy broth, and I'm a Palace Tang stan for life.
How much money are they paying?
Wait, not sponsored. I willingly waited an hour to eat there like a couple weeks ago. It was really good.
My actual answer was semi-seriously going to be I go to the Kroger discounted steak section and just go crazy on a low budget. But now I need to go to this place, a meter for less than $10. Frida's is really good. I do Frida's a lot. Here's a hot take. The med school really, like, everywhere in Ann Arbor loves to cater from a place called Jerusalem Garden. Even after having been forced, my lab likes to order it too. Even after having it like forced down my throat, I would still go to Jerusalem Garden. It's like a Mediterranean spot. It's just really good.
It's so good.
All right, I'm gonna put a plug in for Fleetwood Diner, 24/7 diner. Sure, they make a scrumptious grilled cheese. I've never had that. I've never been to Fleetwood before 11 p.m. at night, but their food always hits and does not put a dent in the wallet.
This is kind of cheating. There's a place called Malu's Fried Chicken in Ypsilanti. It's like 15 minutes away.
Really?
Amazing fried chicken sandwiches. But for a more local spot, I like Beer Camp. It's like an outdoor eatery. They have good drinks and a bunch of sausages and like tater tots, like good barbecue food.
There's a place called Union Rec down Main Street that's wonderful. They have a coffee shop that opens in the morning. They also serve lunch and dinner. You can hang out there and study. It's a huge space during the day. That's probably my favorite place to go.
I love it. And they actually asked us for the Dean's panel this morning, where is like all of our favorite place. What I wrote, but they didn't put it up there, was I love to go to the farmer's market and get locally sourced fruits and veggies and then cook at home. It's really, really reasonable. It's here in Carytown, and I enjoy doing that. Malu's is great. It's super close. So I could keep asking your questions for another hour, but I'm not going to. What I want to do is, first of all, thank these spectacular humans for coming. You make my heart swell. You make me laugh. This is why I stay here. You've heard that I love my patients. It's evident, and it's not just me. We love our students. We care about our students. We bring you in to thrive and to match and go on to either leave this place or stay here for your residency and relish the time that you're here. I do love seeing you outside of campus. I don't love being made fun of in the smoker, but they are so talented. So thank you, thank you, thank you.